Hey everybody, I'm so excited. We have such a special video offering for you today. I have, as you know, I am the biggest Dr. Joe Dispenza fan, and he is my most popular guest on my videos, so you are going to get a treat today. We have him chatting today with me about his newest book, which is out today. When you get this video, I want you to run to Amazon.com, run to Barnes & Noble's, get your butts to the bookstore that is closest to you on your computer. You don't have an excuse. This book, You Are the Placebo, is going to change your life, and because we are all in this together and we can't help ourselves, we are being forced to transform. He has some radically effective, incredible protocols that he's going to introduce in this book, and all this research that he's done from his events and workshops that he's done over the past year and a half. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. There's no question why he was in What the Bleep Do We Know, because we do know what the bleep now, and he's the one that's going to lead us. All right, so on with the show. Dr. Joe, how are you, darling?
Hi, Colette. I'm very happy to be with you.
I am super pumped about your book. Your office sent me your book before it was released, and I got a chance to read most of it. I'm still on the last bit. Wow. I'm telling you, I mean, I've read all your books and I've seen the progression now of what you've accomplished and how you can really show us with all this experiments that you've done, all the scientific research. You've given us that research now. And for me, it was like reading this novel, this discovery, like a mystery novel that every next chapter you told us something else about our brains and our mind and how we can heal ourselves, and how fascinating is that? So rather than me going through the list of questions that all the people who are interviewing you are going to go through with you, I want you to tell me, why did you write the book? How excited are you about it? And why do we need to read it? Which I know why, but I want to hear from you.
Well, it was a process of discovery for me, because at a certain point in the workshops that we were doing around the world, Colette, we started seeing people in real time during our workshops experiencing transformation in health. And so people were healing themselves of MS and lupus and chronic pain and food sensitivities and a host of other different conditions. And it got me thinking about this idea that we can heal by thought alone. And so if you understand the placebo response, which is really you give someone a sugar pill, a saline injection, you give them some sham procedure or surgery, a fake surgery, and a certain percentage of those people will actually accept, believe, and surrender to that inert procedure or substance without analyzing anything, and they'll begin to get well. So it's not the external substance that's doing the healing, it's the innate ability within that person when they merge a clear intention with an elevated emotion. And so I started to see a strong correlation between people, common people like you and I, doing the uncommon, if they're given permission to do it and they're given the environmental conditions to help them get from one place to the other with the right type of instruction and the right type of information, doing that kind of uncommon activity with the placebo response. And so my question was, you don't need that external substance. We can heal by thought alone. And so if you understand the science of how the placebo works, then we should be able to reproduce it and teach it. And it turns out that you don't need any external thing, that if we believe in the quantum field of possibilities and our innate abilities within us, we can move into elegant states of being and begin to reprogram the autonomic nervous system.
I'm going to ask you a question right there.
Yeah.
Stop right there. Okay, so we're going to come back to the automatic nervous system. Autonomic, right, okay. So you said a number of times we can heal with thought alone. So when you mentioned prior to the elevated emotion, I would like to clarify that thought with the elevated emotion is the most important piece. That thought alone, the thinking mind, is not the mind that you are discussing. We're really discussing the shift at the level of the subconscious programmed mind, correct?
Yes, I guess another way to say it is how you think. Thought is the language of the brain, and feeling is the language of the body.
Right.
And when you combine how you think and how you feel, you create what we call a state of being. Right. So most people are thinking and feeling in automatic cycles that they aren't even aware of, because 95% of who we are is a subconscious program. So when you change that, the person moves from living in the past into living in a new future. So the elevated emotion then is the key ingredient, because it begins to reprogram the autonomic nervous system. And if it's done properly, with enough amplitude or enough times knocking on the genetic door,
Yeah.
it begins to, over time, cause the body to begin to automatically make its own pharmacy of chemicals that matches the exact fake drug that they think they're taking. So we have all the resources within us. So the elevated emotion then allows the body as the unconscious mind to begin to believe it's in that future experience in the present moment, and we're literally signaling new genes in new ways by combining that new state of being with a clear intention and elevated emotion.
So let me ask you another question, because I think that's really interesting, because I found that similar thing in my work with the Envision process. That is the reinforced repetition of a state of mind that is different, or the one that you'd want to create. And I know you're doing that in your workshops. You're creating with these intense meditation experiences where people are actually entering into states of being, right, into that emotional state that somehow, mirrors what they want to manifest, if you will. So, and that you're seeing this correlation. You brought in this past year, I know, because I wanted to come and I couldn't because my schedule was too crazy. But I know that you brought in a team of scientists, a team of researchers, a team of quantum physicists with all this equipment into your workshops. So I'd love you to tell a little bit about what you saw. One of the big ahas, because I know you wrote about them in your book, but there's a couple of them that are really good ones.
Well, I mean,
all of them are good.
I'm the type of guy that loves to demystify the mystical. So if it's happening in real time, I wanted to measure it. When we were seeing people heal themselves of all different conditions and experiencing great levels of joy and ecstasy, I mean, we've had certain hotels stop me on my way back to my room after we finished a day of an event with a security guard and ask if I was handing out ecstasy, because people were in such elevated states that they thought we were handing out drugs. So when I brought in a team of scientists, I wanted to quantify the process. Why quantify it? Because if you give people information, and that information is poignant enough for them to understand, knowledge is power, but knowledge about yourself is self-empowerment, right?
Right.
If they can repeat that information, they're wiring it in their brain. If you can give them the instruction on how to apply that information, and they can get their behaviors to match their intentions, you're going to see some type of transformation. Now, if we could measure that transformation, we can measure what's going on in the brain, what's going on with their heart, what's going on with the energy around their body, the energy centers of the body, the energy of the room. We have them peeing in cups to measure their genetic changes. We want to know if there's a correlation between mind and body, right? So if the experience actually occurs that produces a transformation and we measure it, well, then that's more information for me to teach transformation the next time. And if I measure that transformation, then we have more information to teach transformation. And I think you begin to close the gap between knowledge and experience. And so in the last year, we made scientific history. We now know that, without a doubt, you cannot use your brain to change your brain. You can't use your program to change your program. You can't even use the ego to change the ego, because that's like using matter to change matter. Only when you become more energy, when you become consciousness, that consciousness is the epiphenomenon of matter. And we saw over and over again that when you and I get beyond ourselves, we can do the miraculous, we can do the uncommon. And we saw people struggling over and over again, over 500 brain scans, where people were trying to change their brain with their brain, and they were making it worse. As soon as I saw that, I figured out what had to happen.
That's amazing.
In order for you to heal by thought alone, you have to become thought alone. You have to become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, in no time. You have to become consciousness in possibility, in the field of possibility. And when that happens, when people get to that place, wow, the brain all of a sudden gets highly coherent, and the heart gets highly coherent, and the energy field around the body begins to correlate with this merging of head and heart. And so our students are able to, in a period of time, sustain that type of change, because it's about sustaining. You mentioned meditation. Well, the word meditation means become familiar with. So you can't, move into a great state of gratitude and abundance in your meditation, and then or compassion, and then get up and drive on the freeway and flip everybody off, because you just lost that state. Right. It's about becoming familiar with. That's what the word means. And enough times that you can regulate and turn on that state at any point in your day, because if you can, you're broadcasting information into the field. So to sustain it then and reproduce it enough times, the repetition begins to cultivate a consistently new state of being. So we made scientific history. We were capturing brain wave patterns 10 to 15 times the normal amplitude what you see in a clinical setting. And we now know that what was going on in that person's brain was more real than any past experience in their life. As a matter of fact, that internal event was the new experience, and she was rewriting, or he was rewriting the program, and the past no longer existed in the brain and body in that moment. And it didn't happen once, it didn't happen twice, it happened many, many, many times for people. And so I love that, because then you see someone dance the salsa well, you'll dance the salsa better. You see someone hit a tennis ball really well, you'll hit a tennis ball better. You see someone stand up on a stage and talk about how they developed the disease over a period of time by mismanaging their energy, and then over the course of 1 year, turn that battleship around and say, I now am cancer-free, or I'm now, free of my disease. If you hear someone talk about that, you're more prone to accept, believe, and surrender without analysis that it's possible for you.
What I loved about this was the fact that the ability to give examples. So I think when you brought in all the equipment and the machines, you say about demystifying the mystical. Well, I actually think you just added more beauty to the mystical, more awe, because everything that you're talking about really is what is mystical about humanity, is that we have this extraordinary power to really affect change by choosing that, because we have to choose it too. I think that what everybody is looking for is really a quick pill. Do it for me. And what you're doing, what I'm doing, and the people that we know and we love, our colleagues are talking about empowerment practices. This is an empowerment practice. You're teaching somebody to recreate and reinvent themselves from the inside out, because it's not the outer world that we have to work with. If we want the outer to change, the internal structures need to be reevaluated, realigned, and then recalibrated in a way, right? Would you say that's true?
Absolutely, and that's the deprogramming, that's the deconditioning, because it occurred to me when I was writing this book how conditioned we are into looking for things outside of us to change and regulate our internal states. You feel unhappy, you feel sick, you feel empty. People search for their external environment, something outside of them, to change how they feel inside of them.
But they don't know. I think people don't really know that. I talk about something called coherence in my training class, about teaching people how to see that really the subconscious mind is going to seek the outer to prove itself to be true. Otherwise, it's a state of tremendous discomfort if it's a lie, right? So we're going to use our eyeballs. We're going to look for that one thing that we believe, but then we don't ask ourselves, why do we believe that? We could have inherited that from our parents, or we've been taught that culturally, or we've been, like you said, programmed. So we have to actually deconstruct our construct, because we are constructed personalities based on memory. Everything that we are is memory based. Even when I do predictions, I sit there looking at the person going, well, I don't look at them because I do it on the phone. I'm saying, here's where I see you going. But if you really want to change, you want that thing you want, what do you have to believe differently? You are going to have to shift the belief that you have. Otherwise, this is going to keep happening. And it's not because I'm intuitive. It's because I know how this works. Right? So.
Well, it's absolutely the way it is, but that deconditioning process is really the place of discomfort, because when you are uncomfortable, you are in the unknown. Now we got to get comfortable in that place, because that's the exact place that you and I create from, not from the known, not the familiar, not the comfortable, because that's the old identity. It is that place of uncertainty, that place of unknown, that void. We should learn to become comfortable in it, because that's where true possibility exists.
So you mentioned certainty, and I recently just did an interview with Robert Ohado, last week's video, and we really talked a lot about the fact that the chaos that's going on astrologically for everybody, this umbrella of energy that astrology speaks to, has caused us to have to disconnect from the old self. And we talked about the choice point right now for everyone, and we're being invited to choose not this or that, but the only choice is the unknown, and nobody likes that. The human's greatest need is for certainty, right? So,
right. That's an interesting thought because, I mean, when you move from the old self to the new self, and you're no longer thinking the same way, you're no longer acting the same way, you're no longer feeling the same emotions, you just stepped into that place of uncertainty, into the unknown, and we've been programmed into believing the unknown is scary.
Right.
So people will say to me, well, I really don't like the unknown because I can't predict my future. And I say to them, the best way to predict your future is to create it in that unknown place. Because if we can get comfortable in that place of uncertainty, that's where possibility exists.
That's pure potential is in uncertainty.
Exactly. And I always say my definition of genius is being uncomfortable and being okay with it. Because that's really when we're really formulating a new known from that place of unknown. And that's when you begin to realize that you're empowering the outcome, because if you keep revisiting that unknown enough times, biologically, energetically, neurologically, genetically, you'll begin to literally become known in that unknown.
Do you have any exercises or one off the top of your head that we can offer people right now? I mean, I want everybody to read this book. This is a classic and we need it. So is there anything off the top of your head that's something somebody could do? I know that's putting you on the spot, but...
Well, I mean, a real simple thing. I mean, the book is about changing beliefs and perceptions, and a belief is just a thought you keep thinking over and over again until you hardwire it in your brain. And beliefs are based on past experiences, and emotions are the end product of experiences. So most people's beliefs are based on how they feel, and when they're challenged in their life, and life is initiating them to a greater level, they don't feel the same. They cling to the same feelings. So if everybody in the morning decided to change a belief about money, about God, about relationships, about their genetics, whatever it is, in order for us to change a belief or perception about ourselves or our lives, we have to make a decision with such firm intention. The amplitude of that decision carries a level of energy that's greater than the hardwired programs in our brain and the emotional addictions in our body. Right. And our body has to get a new signal, a new message, and it has to respond to a new mind. In other words, the hair on the back of your neck should stand up, and the choice should become an experience that you never forget. The moment that occurs, you're giving your body a sampling of the future. And so when the snake charmer moves into a state of absolute faith and is willing to be bit by the poisonous snake, he doesn't say, oh my God, I wonder if I'm going to get poisoned today.
Right.
Or the mystic who's walking across the hot coals doesn't say, geez, I wonder if I'm going to burn my feet. Or the mother whose daughter is trapped under the car and she flips the car over. She's not saying, hey, I ate carbohydrates today and I haven't worked out my feet. She makes a decision, and that decision is carrying an energy. And the body begins to respond to the mind. And so you have to come out of your resting state, and you have to bring up that level of invincibility, that level of passion, that level of inner strength or courage or gratitude or whatever it is for you. And your body has to really begin to respond to your mind. If you do that, that's the moment you're rewriting the program.
Well, I do that, and I am doing it, and I know it works, and I am living proof that works, and I know that if people listen to what you just said right now, run and get your book, read it. It is a phenomenal book to read, and get their butts to one of your seminars, too. They will see this. They will. I know they will. So listen, Joe, I wish you all the best. I think you have a New York Times bestseller there, and I want everybody around the world to get this book. Thank you so much for coming on my little show. I love you tons, and good luck with this book.
Thank you so much. I love you very much also.
Traveling down the road, I didn't know that I was lost. I had tried too many shortcuts, and the cost left my heart broken. So I had it closed for repairs. Wandering in my desert, your oasis appears. You're like a long, cool drink of water. I'm thirsty, that's clear when I taste you. I know you, I do. So can you feel it? Tell me, I need to know. Do you remember? Don't it feel like coming home? The sea is a reflection reflects the summer sky. You know, I remember sailing there in some other life in your ocean. I'll swim till the end of time. You know that fate has got her own ideas. No matter what we plan, I know she weaves a spell around me when I am touching your hand. When touching your hand. So can you feel it? Tell me, I need to know. Do you remember? Don't it feel like coming home? Tell me, I need to know. And can you hear me singing for you to come home? Gonna feel like coming home. Gonna feel like coming home. Gonna feel like a long cool drink of water. So can you hear me? Singing for you to come home.